Hello, welcome to Moment of Truth. My name is Nadia Ashon, and of course, my co-host Davi,
I'm Davidi Body. Welcome to the show.
and then my other co-host Dr. Prissy.
Hi, I'm Prissy Kumsen. Thank you for joining us tonight.
And then we have a wonderful guest. But today we're going to be talking about a very important topic. The month of April is financial literacy. And in last month, we talked about money, having money, and just your resources. But today we're going to talk about a topic that I believe we don't talk about it a lot, but it is important, is budgeting. So we have our wonderful guest who's going to really go through some stages that will allow us when we talk about budgeting, because budgeting is a real elaborate thing and it's individual and personalized. So, Mr. Apia, will you please introduce yourself to our audience and then tell us a little bit about yourself so that way they know who you are and how you're going to help us in talking about this wonderful topic.
Thank you and good evening to you all. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be with you this evening.
Mm-hmm.
My name is Anthony Kubi and I'm an accountant by profession. I have an MBA in finance and accounting and professional certification, which is certified financial government manager. And I've worked as an auditor since 2006 to date. When I audit mostly federal and state governments. And I'm also a member of a Church of Pentecost and a High Assembly, and I'm their financial secretary. So today we are going to talk about topic, as my sister said, we don't talk about it very much. So we are going to discuss it, and I'm sure by the close of our discussions, we will become well informed as how you manage our finances. So once again, I'm very glad to be here and be with you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kubi. Budgeting. Whenever we hear the word budget, I think everybody have a reaction. It may be, your friends, you move something. You have a reaction to the word budgeting. So let's talk about budgeting. What is it? How to go about preparing for your personal and household budget? Because this is individual based. How do we go about doing that, Mr. Apia?
Okay, thank you. And then let's start with it. Last month, I think we talked about the importance of having a budget. I mean, today we are going to see how we can individually prepare our household budget, because as we said, it varies from person to person. But it's very, very important that we put together and know how to put together the good budget. It's not like just sit down and prepare it, because they say that if garbage in those who work on a computer, they will tell you budget garbage in, garbage out. So if you don't prepare it very well, the results will not be what you are looking for. So today we are going to go through the process, but I have about 5 processes that we are going to go through. So the first one, I termed it to gather your financial paperwork. So you put all your finances. So we are going to go to details one after the other. But I want to tell you the what I have for the processes. You gather your financial papers, and then you calculate your income, and then you create a list of monthly expenses that you have. And then that's the third one. The fourth one is determine fixed and variable expenses. I'm going to explain what the fixed and what the variable expenses are. And then the last one, the fifth, because the budget, our household budget is not rigid. It's not like the federal government, when they prepare their budget, it's fixed. Even to make amendment, you have to go through a lot of processes before you can amend the budget. But ours is you just sit down at the end of the month, you make adjustment, where to increase, where to reduce, so that you can come to your goal of the budgeting. So these are the 5 processes that we are going to go through. And then, so the first one is gather your financial papers. Because when you are preparing it, you need to have information. It's not like you sit down and then just get up. You need information like your bank statements.
Mm-hmm.
That's where your income and everything hits. So you need to have your investment account if you have investments. You need to have utility bills. You need to have your W-2s where it tells you how much you make every pay period. And then you need to have, we call 1099 for self-employed people. They have the 1099. And then you need to have your credit card bills and the receipts from your last 3 months so that you can do average check on your expenses. And then you have a mortgage, you have to have your mortgage statement. And you have an auto loan statement that also will help. So that is when I mean that gather your financial statement, that's what I'm talking about. So when you have that and then you calculate your income, you need to have your how much is. That's one is very short. You all know what is coming in. Sometimes it depends. So if you work like me, I have one job. And so I know what I earn every pay period. So bi-weekly, so 1 month, I know how much I'm making. So you put all together. And then that is be one side. That is going to be the focus of your budget. Because everything will be dependent on it. How much you're going to make every month, whether you are up or down of your goal will be determined by how much you make. And then you create a list of expenses. So you have to be honest with yourself. What are the expenses that I make? So like, say, like I said, you have the mortgage payments. You list it down, or rent, if you rent. We have your car payment, as I already talked about. Insurance, you have insurance, that might be car insurance too. And then you have the groceries, how much you make every grocery that you make every month. That is estimation. And the utility bills, that one you have a documentation to support it. And entertainment, if you go out, movies, and then of course, they will say all work and no play make a jack a dull boy. So once in a while you go out and then chill with your family. And then you need to have if you have a personal care, because like if you have a child care, you have to also put together, go to, like eat out. A lot of people eat out, like go to restaurants once in a while. There are a lot of people also, they go, like you see that even though we don't budget much for eating out, but it's taking a toll on our monthly budget. And so then you need to have, like I said, child care, the transportation costs. Like if you drive, if you take metro, all these things you have to put together and see how much you spend every. Because before the COVID, I used to take a metro to work. So once in a while, I was able to figure out how much I need for every month, every pay period. So then I set that money aside. And then transportation costs, that will be included on the car too. And then travel, sometimes if you go outside, all these expenses must be factored in. And then if you have a student loan, so that one also, you can't mix that one. And then you have savings. But one thing I also add is, for those of you who go to church, then you have to put in how much you pay for your tithes, because it's going to come from your income. So that is I consider that one as also part of the expenses. So that is the third creating the monthly expenses. And then you need to determine, I think I said about fixed and variable expenses. Like I will call it, fixed expenses are expenses that are incur every month. The amount is fixed. Like your mortgage is fixed. Rent is fixed, and then your internet. If you have internet, the fee is fixed. If you have like trash pickup, you pay is a fixed amount, and then childcare, so it's also fixed, and then like I said, tithe, tithe is also fixed because it's a percentage of your income, unless after we get a raise and then we change, but it will take a while for it to make a difference. Unless if you are a self-employed, is where it will be fluctuate. Yes, those of us who receive W2 is fixed for a while before we change it. And the variable expenses is a type that will change month to month. It vary with time. So it's like if groceries isn't going to be fixed because sometimes you may buy more, sometimes you may buy less. So grocery is also considered as variable expenses. And then gasoline also is a variable because it depends how many you drive. Because if you drive more, there are some instances you may drive more, you buy more gas. For instances you may drive less and you buy less gasoline. And that one also affect the wear and tear too. So the more you drive, the more expenses you care for. That one is also a variable. And then when you eat out, also is also very considered variable because it's not a fixed time that we do it. Sometimes we may say, "Oh, my family, let's go out and eat today," and then by 2 weeks or 3 weeks time, we said, "Okay, let's go." Some people go out very often, but some people, I think, are very limited. And the last one it's many, but these are some of the few things that I want to discuss. And the gifts, if you want to give, some people are generous, they give gifts to others, but you don't know how much you're going to give as a gift. But it's also part of the variable expenses. Okay. So after you put all together, and then you see that okay, let me see how much is coming up as my total expenses. So what I've said is 2 to 4 is your total expenses. And then you add it together. And then also you may have a goal. Say, okay, this month I'm going to save this. Because it's also part of what we are going to discuss today, but also have invaluable link to how much you save. Because if you have more expenses, then your net income. So the net income, when we say net income, is when you subtract your expenses from your income. So the difference will be net income or net loss. If the expenses is more than the income, it's net loss. The reverse is net income. So that's one. The fifth one I was talking about is to make an adjustment. Because sometimes you may sit down, no, because there are some of the expenses, especially for the variable, we have control over it. So if you want to make an adjustment, it's where it comes from. Because the first one, mortgage, you can't change it. Car loan, you can't change it. Student loan, you can't change it. But the groceries, sometimes you buy something and you may not use it. So those areas that you have control are the variable costs where you can make an adjustment and see whether you are meeting your net goal or not. So you have to review from time to time to make sure you are in line, to make sure you are meeting your goals, make sure that you are following. Because this budget outline that I said is a guide to control you. It's not forcing, but it control you how you spend your money. Because there are some people if they don't have this, I think they will spend everything. And then at the end of the day, you may have nothing. So for the budget preparation, these are some of the outlines that I have. So if you have any questions, then we can move on.
Thank you so much, Mr. Appiah. I think it's overwhelming when you started naming stuff. I'm like, oh wow, and just even putting how to put it together. Sometimes just having that ability to put things together require help. Like you need help. Just collecting all those information. So when you're thinking about putting a budget together, do you think it's important to get the family involved, meaning the husbands and the wife have to sit down so that way they put the expenses together so that way you know what you're budgeting? Because I think it's hard when you put everything together, then you go present it to somebody and say, this is our budget. They may not look favorable upon all your hard work, and they may think you are punishing them. So what do you advise when you are putting a budget together? Is it a get together with the family so that we agree that this is our expenses, this is our income, and this is what we are going to do? So that way it's not, it doesn't look like one person is trying to control the other person.
That's a good question. And excellent question. Yeah, it's everything that I'm saying is like, it's hard to be, that's why in the beginning I said the household budget. So it has to comprise both the spouse and the children too. Some of them need to, because in case of my children, they are grown up, so they are everything that we can discuss. If it has to be something like that, okay, we have to manage the light in the house. They have to come in. So it's very important that you put together with the consent of everybody in the household. It's not like if you one person sit down and try to put the budget together, it's not going to work. Even in the organizations, they have the consensus building. They put together, they consult all other departments to bring. Even the federal government, they ask all the other agencies to put on their wants and then bring it, and then they put the whole thing together. So the same thing applies to the family. The family has to sit down. We have to know the money that is coming in for the month and the expenses that we are making. And it's when that we can all agree to make some adjustments. So if it is me spending too much and then it's not necessary, it is where that we can cut down the cost. So it's very, very important that the whole family come together and then decide and prepare the budget together. So it's very important.
Thank you, Mr. Appiah. David, do you have a follow-on question on that?
Okay, so what I was about to ask is about the budget. Like, what do you suggest? Is it easier to have a budget that tells you how much you're spending weekly or how much you're spending monthly? What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's good to, because the budget, preparing a budget is not easy. It's because, like I said it now, it's time consuming. Right. So if you do it weekly, it's not going to help, because even more importantly, you are not paid by week. So most of us pay by weekly. So if you put it together monthly, that would actually help you, because that's when all expenses that we make, we pay on monthly basis, so that we can correspond to your income that is coming in monthly. So I think, to me, it's very good to do it on monthly basis.
Okay, you mean like, because, okay, let me reframe the question. You mean you plan for the whole year, but you plan how much you're using monthly, or you mean you plan every month?
No, so,
I was thinking you plan for the whole year, but you decide, like, this is how much I'm spending at so and so time.
I was saying, because what we make every month, when we multiply by 12, is 1 year. So what we spend on a monthly basis, when we multiply by 12, is also 1 year. So one month, because it's like, even if you are paid your salary, they have the yearly, but they calculate it on paid it on a monthly or bi-weekly basis. So the 1 year, because if I paid rent, they send me 1 year, 1 month. But when I multiply 1 month, what I'm paying times 12, it will give me 1 year expenses. So when you break it down, one year can reflect the whole year if you prepare it very well. So it's not like you are going to see, okay, because 1 year I'm going to from January, February, March, I'm going to put all together, which is income is fixed. 1 month salary, you know it already. And then you know how much you pay for a utility because they send you a monthly basis. And then you know how much you pay for car loan. It's a monthly basis. So when you put 1 month together, income and expenses, you multiply by 12. It will give you 1 year income and expenditure.
I guess what I'm asking is, how often are you drawing a budget? How often are you sitting down to plan? Like,
So,
you get my question? Because of the way you put it, it's a bit overwhelming. So, like, how often are you sitting down to plan, make a budget?
Because like in the actual budget, like say January of say this year, let's sit down and see how, because with the family you can say, okay, it's very nice if you can save so much for the year. And that will take it down to how you plan for every month. And so you sit down at the beginning of the year or a certain period, the whole family sit down and you decide, okay, I look at it and then say, no, from because of our intended goals, let's put together our budget. And so in the beginning of the year, you can do it. If it's through the half year, you can do it. But mostly it's very good when you do it at the beginning of the year so that you can achieve you know how much successful you are when you come to the like at the end of the year. Because when we prepare, we take account of what we're able to save and what we not able to save. So to me, it's very good when you start at the beginning of the year. Like right now, if you haven't prepared, you can still do it. Here we have about we are in the 4th month of the year, so you can still prepare from now to December, and then because we have about 6 or 7 months left, and then you can prepare. So it's depend on individual perspective. To me, for ideally, if you prepare that like at the beginning of the year, or like somewhere when we decided right now, we are deciding it, and then you can start preparing from now to December and see. Let's give ourselves and see how it will work at the end of the year and see if you're able to achieve something.
Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Priestley, do you have a follow-on question on just getting everything together for the budgeting?
Yeah, I see that, like, as you're talking, you're reading something. It looks like you've been doing this, and you have something down that you're reading. So I want to know, like, why, when you're prepping to do the budget, what are some of the tools that you use to create that budget? Because some people like may write it down or may use certain tools or certain apps out there. Are there any ones that you recommend? Because like for instance, I like it to be easy. I don't want to have to go to an Excel spreadsheet and then put in the stuff and then have to calculate everything myself. I want something that as I'm putting in the amounts and the expenses and all that stuff, it's calculating it for me. So what suggestions can you make around that will make it easier for us to create a budget every month? Excuse me.
One thing is, I don't want to make it more complicated because if you are the best tool, if you know how to use Excel, that will be the best one, because Excel, when you enter the number, it adds it for you and then subtract it for you. But if not, you can use your own paper and then write it down, because it's not complicated. You're not going to send it to anybody. It's just a guide for your family to do it. So I won't suggest you go to use a complicated tool app, and that will give you a headache and then put you off for, no, I'm tired, I'm not going this is too complicated, I'm not going to do it. So you can write it down, because me, for instance, sometimes if I write something that may even help me more remember that when somebody say it, even we say it to me, I have to write it down. As soon as I put it down, I totally I remember it. So if you are very good in Excel, that will be because it's not expensive too. So that the one is what I'm going to suggest. If not, you can write it down, because because it's household budget. It's not like it varies from household to household. Some people have a lot of expenses, some people don't have much. And so you can put together depending on your family expenses and income, and then you can use a simple tool that's going to give you. Because right now, because we have too much going around us, so you're not going to create something that is going to be difficult for the family. So you can just put it down, write it down, and then hang it somewhere on the wall, and then say, oh, yeah, so, yeah, and then but it's something that is going to remind you, because even corporations when they do budget, they go back and they review it. They go back and then they see actual, and then they see the variance. Okay, this is what I budgeted for. This is the actual, and then they subtract it and see whether I'm going up or going down. That's when you make some adjustment. So if you can do that, like you put it down, write it down, because if you don't write it down, you may forget about it. That's why you can't put it in your head. So you write down. So okay, this I make it, because my wife sometimes do most of this, and then say the grocery. Said, oh, this month, because I can't remember. Sometimes, oh, this month I spent too much grocery. Because he put it down. That's why he was able to identify that we spent too much, and then so that because of that, then we we have to adjust it, because there are certain things that you may buy, may not even eat it at the end of the month. If you can postpone it, because sometimes you ladies, you buy, they say, oh, it's on sale, so now you buy it, but you may not even need it at that time. And then you buy it. But if you buy what you need and what is most pressing, and then we leave it as soon as you need it, and you go and buy it, so that it's something that is guiding you. It's not something that has to overwhelm you. It's something that you have to do to guide you, so that you can achieve the income goal that you guys want to set it up.
Thank you, Mr. Abia. I think when we talk about the budgeting, I think the most important part is not to let it overwhelm you. And I think the second part is making sure that when you write it down, you put it somewhere that you can use it. Because you can write an elaborate budget, but if it is as I personally say, if it's on a Excel spreadsheet or it's on my computer, I will not open my computer every day to, I will not check it. But if I could post it on my refrigerator, maybe I will remember to say, okay, my grocery for this month should be, if I go to Costco, don't buy, bulk stuff if I don't need it. And maybe I will stay within the limit of my, my variables. Because I think the variables is what gets us the most. The fix, we know the fix, but the variables, we tend to overwhelm ourselves with spending more than we have to in a given month. So I think having that understanding of your budget and putting in a place that is accessible is definitely important. So thank you on that one. I think one of the things we also need to talk about is the credit card. So now that we have created a budget, now, and then we have the expenses. I think even credit card bill can be some of the variables, because if you don't have to purchase something, you don't need to purchase it, because then it becomes on your credit card that you have to pay. So let's talk about the credit card. What are some of the benefits of possessing a credit card? Because people give it to you all the time. I card them. And so if I don't need it, I don't want it. So what are some of the benefits of having a credit card?
Yeah. Credit card is like I said, is a necessary evil. It's very important. I myself, when I came here, United States, it took me more years before I get a credit card. And I was having Ghanaian mentality that if I need something, I have to save to get and buy it. But I used credit card when I joined my current company, like, because I used to travel a lot, and I was told it's not safe for me to use my bank card because of the fraud and other things. So, which is part of the expenses, advantages.
Mhm.
So credit card, like economy that we have, if you don't have credit card, it's something that is going to work against you. Because we may, like, if you want to go into mortgage, like buy car, buy house, they look at your credit history. They look at how, because if you have a credit history and you are on time on your expenses, then they know that when they give you the house, they give you car, you're able to pay it. And one problem I have with this is, not a problem, but funny thing about it is, if you don't have a good credit, we may buy the same house. The two people may buy the same house because of their one doesn't have a good credit. It's going to get high interest rate. You buy a car, you're going to get high interest rate. And so credit card is very good to help you to get interest rate, low interest rate when you are going for big purchases like house and a car. So it builds your credit history. So that is one good aspect of credit card. And then credit card also has some protections because, like, if one time I think my savings, somebody went in and then they paid it, but it took a long time for them to reimburse. The credit card, if you, because of the protection that it has, when if you somebody misapply your account or go in your account, the credit card can reimburse you easily than the debit card. So that's one advantage of credit card. And then you don't need to carry big cash with you, and when you are going somewhere to make. It also is a disincentive because carrying too much cash with you is also a big problem. So it's also not good to carry too cash. And then it helps you to track your spending too, because they'll give you credit card. If you go back to your statement, it will tell you, oh, you spend this, and it's called every month. I review my credit card, and when I was in school, this is something that somebody told me. He used to work in the credit card company, and he told me that even every month when you receive your bill, they said that when you receive your bill, call the credit company and said, oh, what is this? What is the expenses for? The reason he said that, according to the lady who works there, some of them overcharge some of their customers. So if you continue reviewing your accounts and then ask them questions, they put you down. So this guy, he's on top of his or her account. So if you mess it up, he will call you. So he was saying that anytime you have a credit card, at least if you receive your statement, call them and see and ask them why this expenses, what this is. Like, even though you know it, but you are letting them know that you have reviewed it. It's like those of us who are auditors. If I'm an accountant and I have my subordinate, if they know that you are reviewing everything that they do, they will be very careful when to create a mess. It's like if somebody wants to steal the money, if you are a fan of reviewing their papers, and sometimes you can ask them, or bring this document and let me look at it. Sometimes they will bring it, you are not looking at it. But because of that, they know that if they do something, you look at it. So it's something that I want you to have it, because it's also very good too. And then they are secure than cash, like what I'm saying. Cash, somebody can rob you. A friend of mine, when he was in New York, he was robbed at gunpoint and was having a cash. But if you're having a credit card and everything in his side, even if they took the card and you call it, they cannot make any, they cannot use the card. So it's a credit card. These are some of the advantages that I have. I listed them. There are many there, but these are some of the few advantages that I think they have. So it builds your credit history, and then we'll be able to get cheaper interest rate when you make a big purchase like car and mortgage. Well, I can remember when I was buying a car for my wife, I got an interest rate of 2%. That was about 10 years ago, 2%. So it did not force me to pay the car loan because the interest was too minimal. So it's based on your credit history. So that is the economy that we have. So we have to also involve ourselves in it. It helps to build your credit history. So let's take advantage of that. But when we come to the negative side, then I have some advice that you need to do.
Thank you so much, Mr. Appiah. I think it's important. Most of us don't realize how important credit card is. But thank you for really elaborating the importance of having credit card. I've been in this country for over 30 years, so I know the value of having a credit card is part and parcel of living in America. So you have to really learn to manage it wisely. Now, my follow-on question, I'll let my co-hosts also, if they have any question about credit card, because everybody have some kind of experience with credit card. So Dr. Prissy, do you have any experience with credit card that you let our viewers know? Because even though it's a good thing, how good do you think credit card is?
Yeah, I mean, for me, credit card is a good thing. Mr. Kubi said it's a necessary evil. I think it's a necessary evil, depending on how you use it. You can make it the evil, or you can make it the angel, right? So for me, my experience with it and the way it has really helped my credit a lot is that I put everything on my credit card. And at the end of the month, I put everything back. And putting everything back means my paycheck, everything, any income that is coming in, it goes back onto that credit card. And so at the end of every month, it's paid off. And then I use it again the next month, and I put everything back. So every month, we recycle, go to. So it's always in a good shape, right? So I have total control of it, and doing that has really, really helped my credit. That's a friend taught me to do that, and it boosted my credit a lot. Every month, every purchase I make, it comes out of it, and then every month I put everything. If I use 2,000, I put that 2,000 right back on it. And so that has been my experience, and it's just really, really works. I think we get into trouble when you're just using, and you're not putting the money back. Exactly. But and even I know that the credit bureaus usually say to keep it around 30%. I always keep it, even much lower than that. And that really, really helped my credit a whole lot. It made a huge difference, which was very surprising to me. But I think that was a good advice, and it's become a routine for me now.
Thank you so much, Dr. Prissy. David Jigbody, experience about how good credit card is.
So I cannot say I have much experience with credit card until recently. I see, just like Dr. Prissy is saying, I see my husband is able to use it like that. So it's after I got married that I actually started using credit card. I didn't use it earlier. But what I realized was before, when I was in school still, and I wanted to get a house, they're like, you're in school, you don't have credit report, so let's give you one more year, come back and let's check. So fortunately, after that, by that one more year, I had started paying back my student loan. Okay, I went back, and at that time, I didn't know that when they say you don't have a credit report, it means you haven't credited anything and paid back. I didn't know that that's what it meant. So I went back, and then they said, oh, your credit report is very good. And I'm like, what exactly is on it? Not knowing it was the student loan that I was paying back, like systematically every time, before time. So I was like, oh, so that's what it is. And then things went through. So I'm thinking that thing is, people come, they take credit card and they think it's free something. They go shopping, they buy clothes, they buy shoes, they buy everything. And then at the end, they are in trouble. I think that if we have more, just like you're doing now, you tell us more about how to use it, then at least we know what it is. Like when I came, I didn't really know what they were talking about. I just was like, whatever. And that was it. But later, I found out what it actually means, that you're credit worthy or you're not credit worthy. So yeah, now we do use it just because he's in the habit of buying something, putting it on and paying it off and put it in. Even when he has the money in hand, he wants to use a credit card, buy, and then pay onto the credit card. So I'm learning.
And I think it's important for people to understand the value, because most people, like I said, I've been here a while. Most people have departmental credit card. The same thing. You can have departmental JCPenney, Macy's, Kohl's, or all those department store credit card. The same concept. You can have the money, buy it, use a credit card, buy it, and then pay for, because they give you a discount and all those things. But I will tell you the same thing that I tell anybody else. Don't buy stuff if you don't have the money to pay for it, because those department store credit card interest is very high. You have to read the fine print, because the credit card, some of the credit card interest is like 10%, some 9%, some of them is 27%, 33%. Those department store credit card interest is like 33%. Do you really want to pay 33% on some shoes and makeup? I don't think so. So just really think about those things when you are doing your expenses, and really limit your credit card. Like Dr. Kumsi talked about the 30%, that is the guidelines. If you can do less, Dr. Kumsi does less, do it. But if you are doing more, and if your credit card is like you are spending it and it's over its limit, and all the time you're asked, you are really expended, that is where the bad part comes in. So Mr. Appiah, talk about what are some of the problems associated with having a credit card.
Yeah, like what you all said is very true, especially what Dr. Kumsin said is very, very true. And like me, I have Macy's card. But when I make a purchase, I use my Macy's card to get all the credit I need, and then I pay everything.
Right.
So like if I'm going to buy even 200, I make sure I have that money. I use their credit, their discount and everything by using their card, and after that, and I make all the payments. And then because their like you said, their interest rate is on the roof. It's too much. So I make sure. And then last time I was listening to CNN. One lady, I forgotten her name, Blue Financial. He said something that was a while ago, that if you are going to make a purchases using your credit card, and at the end of the month you are not able to make a full payment, don't use a credit card. It goes with what Dr. Kumsin said. You buy it, and then at the end of the month, you are going to make it, so that you are not going to pay huge. And that is the downside of it. If you are not disciplined enough, it will lend you to a potential of spending. And then a lot of people are in fire bankruptcy, in huge debt. Second to, I think, medical bills is credit card. Because because it's easy to use it, to go and swap it, and it's gone. Swap it and it's gone. But it will come back to bite you. So the major downside is becoming highly in debt, and then you pay end up blow your credit. And so, like, anything that is advantage for having a good credit is for when you're having don't have a good credit. You're going to pay interest rate, high interest rate when you want to buy a house, buy a car, which is because that's something it hurts me most because you haven't done anything extraordinary, but two people are paying for the same house, the same car, but the monthly payment is different.
Yeah.
All because of your credit history. So it's very good. Like I said, it's necessary if we use it wisely. If you don't need anything, don't use it. You use it in because credit card to me is something for like emergency. Because you use it when you actually don't have any option. Like if you, I have a friend also like that Dr. Kusin said, yeah, everything is put on a credit card, and then at the end of the month they pay off. That is also very good because there are some companies, even like Costco, they give you some, if you have their card and then you pay everything, you spend and you pay everything, you get some discount and you get a bonus for that too. But all sum up to discipline. We have to be very, very disciplined enough to be able to use a credit card. Spend it when you need it. Don't use it when haphazardly, like it's on sale and then you don't need it. You don't need the item. Why do you go for it? And when you end up like the interest that you're going to pay is far more than the discount they are giving you. So
Exactly.
That is so
like
true. Thank you, Mr.
Provided
Apia.
for that, yeah.
So when we're talking about bad credit, like the bad things that you have from credit, having that credit card, for me personally, my experience is that if you are not disciplined, cut that credit card out. When you go to the store and they said, "Oh, we give you credit card," I say, "Thank you, but no thanks." Be realistic. I personally have 2 credit cards in my this thing, and all of them are attached to my bank. My bank gave me a credit card, and that is what I have, so that way I could see the expenses and pay for it. So I don't have any more store cards. And I have one for my job from the military. That's it. Those 2 credit cards, that's all. I cut all those, store credit card because it becomes a nightmare for me. So just be honest with yourself. When you see yourself in the bad shape, cut those credit cards. It won't hurt you. When you cut it, it's gone. It's not in your wallet. You are not tempted to spend it. But if you can manage it like Dr. Kumsi, and and everybody is saying go ahead. But if you can't, please, please, please cut it up. Financial Literacy Month is April. So we just really want to help you. After you've done your budget, the credit card is the next thing that will kill you. Because you may not factor it into your budget, that credit card expenses. So you spent it because you feel like you're swiping, like we're saying, and then you end up having that bill comes in and you spend $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, and it's not in your budget. So now you are only paying the minimum, and the minimum means that they are getting their 33% of what you spend. So you may have borrowed, you may end up swiping, and the end of the year you have swiped $10,000 on your $10,000 credit limit, and you're only paying the minimum. It will take you 15 years to pay that minimum. I'm not kidding. So please don't work for somebody else. You are working very hard. You should not give your money away. And that's what we do when we have credit card. We give your money to somebody else and the person will spend it. So please, please, please remember that, those swiping doesn't help you. Davi, what are some of you don't have credit cards, so I will even ask you, some bad experience with credit card. But Dr. Kumsi, what have you heard about when it comes to bad experience with credit card?
Well, the bad experience, one you mentioned, the one is that what you mentioned, you keep spending, and then you just pay the minimum. Like that's not wise. to have a credit card like that. And then also, of course, when you miss payments, like all those go against you. And sometimes it's not that you can't, like you don't have the money to pay it, right? Sometimes people, again, go back to Mr. Kubi, good budgeting. Because if you've done your budgeting, everything will be plain, everything will be in sight, and when you're supposed to pay everything. Because sometimes people just forget. They just forget that, oh, it was due today or whatever. And then it goes against you. They hit you with late payments. And then also you have the cases where people also overspend. Again, if you're not budgeting very well, you're not keeping track of what's coming in, what's going out. I always say there was I've heard stories about very rich women. They're not the ones bringing in the income. The husbands are the ones bringing in the income, and then all the money goes away. They all of a sudden they don't have any money. They're broke, and then you talk to these women and they say, "Oh, I thought we had the money," so they just were spending and spending and spending. And I said, "My goodness, I will never find myself in that situation, because I know everything that's coming in and I know everything that's going out." I don't know how people get into the situation where they can say, "I thought we had the money."
Yeah.
But like I guess I guess that happens if only one person is managing the budget, right? And the other person doesn't really know about it, or the other person is not involved. And we talked about it. It has to be a family thing. If it's a household where the children are younger, then the two people, the married people, should all be involved, because sometimes men too, Mr. Kubi, sometimes you all create the impression that there's money, but really there isn't, right? Well,
Mr. Abia is like, what?
Well, it's true. No, it kind of also. It's true. There are women who are very meticulous. They look at the what is coming in and what is going out. There are some men they just, so it's cut across both sides. Well, you can be,
it's fire back.
It is. Our time is really fast spent. But I just really want to plug something in, and I believe it's very, very important. And I just really want to encourage our people in our community. Your credits are really affect when you are going for your federal jobs. Really think about it, especially when they are doing security clearance. It affects you. So just really think about it very well. When you are not paying your bills, they will get all your bills, and they will ask you, why didn't you pay this bill? Why didn't you pay that bill? So just really think about it. Don't be like, oh, I don't have the money. So, call the companies, call the credit card companies, the people you owe them, and work out a payment plan. So when they see that you have a payment plan, sometimes your credit card bill may be $10,000, and you may have, expenses that you were doing now, you can't afford it anymore. Call them and they'll work out a payment plan. Your $10,000 may end up being $4,000, and then you have a payment plan and you pay for it. There's no way you can, I'm telling you now, you don't want to mess up your credit because you ignore your bills. You cannot ignore the bills, because it will be on your credit history for a long time. They say 7 years, but I don't know what that means. But you don't want the bill to be on your credit, and you don't have a way of paying it, or you don't have a plan of paying it. So, and then when you are doing your security clearance, they ask you, and if you don't have a good answer, that is really not good. So please, just think about that when it comes to the credit card. We didn't even get to go to savings. We just budget and credit card, and our time is gone. But I will give Mr. Kubi time just to wrap it up. What do you think our guests need to hear when it comes to budget? And what are some last minute words to give our viewers when it comes to budgeting and credit card and everything else?
Okay, thank you. And then this has been a very informative and then meeting. Yeah, I enjoy every bit of it. Yeah, thank you for inviting me. I want everybody to know that I don't think we take this serious, but it's about time we plan very well and make sure, because like I said, if you don't have something planned, how do you execute the plan? So you have to able to put together how your income and expenses. It doesn't have to be a high level. You know how much is coming in, what is going out. Please let us all try and manage the little resources that come in very, very, very well. It's very important. It's by able to put together how much is coming in and what you want to spend. Is when you're able to have some little money to save on a plan for the future. And then for the credit card, please, we are all working very, very hard. Don't let's work for somebody. Let us plan and then make expenses when necessary. And then if, like I said, I took it advice a long time ago from somebody that if I'm not able to pay everything in 1 month, I'm not going to use my credit card. Because it's when you miss one payment, or you're able to pay it, and then it's continuing to pile it up. So let's make sure we get what we deserve. We work too hard to mix all those things and work for these companies. So I implore everybody to be very, 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 very disciplined as far as when we handle our finances are concerned. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Appiah. Dr. Kosi, do you have some last minute words for our viewers?
Yeah, I was actually trying to catch your attention when you mentioned something about the it's staying on your credit for 7 years. Yes, that is true, and that could prevent you, sometimes from getting a job or even getting a house, because that's what happened to me. I had a huge bill on my credit from when I had my child, my firstborn. She was in a NICU for 3 weeks, and our bill came out to be like close to $40,000, and the insurance paid some of it. I had I don't want to say the name of the insurance company, but they really sucked, and they paid some, and they said that they paid the max, they can't pay anymore. And so I wrote letters upon letters, and they paid and then it was left with about $10,000 balance. And when I wrote the letter again, they said, oh no, they can't pay anymore. They've paid the max they can pay. So this $10,000 is my balance. And I said, well, I don't have it. And even if I had it, I'm not going to give it to you. So I left that $10,000. They did report it to my credit, and it stayed on there. So when I was ready to get a house, that was a thing that prevented me from getting a house. And for a long time, I couldn't get a house. And then I'll come to church, and people were bothering me. Oh, you're a nurse now. When are you going to get your house? I'm like, if you people don't stay somewhere. You know what I'm dealing with. And it took 7 years. When my daughter turned 7, is when I called, because it was still on my credit. And I was watching, imagine me counting the days all these years, just trying to get my house. And on the very day that she hit 7 years, I called them and I said, it's been 7 years and I need this off my credit. And I had to battle with them for a while. And probably maybe like some 2 or 3 months after she turned 7, it finally came off. And it was only then until I was able to get my house. So it's imagine within 7 years. Wow. So it's like things stay, and that was a medical bill. That was not even, and people think medical bills are not, such a big impact. It will still create a huge inconvenience for you. So always, know what's on your credit, find out, and you can fight it yourself. You don't need a third, a party or lawyer, or you can fight it yourself with the credit bureau. They will work with you, and but in this case, I choose not to pay, but I could have made payments, but I know where I was going to give these people $10,000.
Thank you so much, Dr. Prissy. David, buddy, do you have any last minute words?
Okay. No, I want to say I've enjoyed it. I've really enjoyed every little bit of it.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Appiah Kubi. We really appreciate the opportunity to talk about money and budgeting. Our community don't talk about it a lot. We don't put it into practice. We hate the word budgeting, but It is a necessary word, and it's our survival. So we need to educate ourselves, and we need to educate our children about budgeting. And it starts from knowledge, taking that knowledge and really passing it on. So anybody who have any question, let us know. Any comments, let us know, because we all want to grow in our knowledge. I know I need more information. This has been very informative, and it has really changed my mind on when to go next, because this is all about moment of truth. Sometimes you think you got it, and then some information shares spotlight, and you share a spotlight of some of the problems that I have. So I need to really tighten my budget. So thank you so much on that one. We want to, David, just want to thank our sponsors.
Yes, thank you so much for sponsoring us, and thanks to your sponsorship, we are able to reach the whole wide world. So go ahead, keep sponsoring us, and if you're interested in sponsoring us, please contact us 202-509-6267. We'll let you know how you can sponsor us. Right now, we would like to thank Delatech. We want to thank El Shaddai International Market. Thanks to Ashan Collections, Comfort Realty, Big Jakes, Lean on Jesus Foundation, our wonderful co-hosts, and thanks to our technical team and Elder Srifi for keeping us on air and keeping us looking good and coming to your homes, your offices, and everywhere you are. Please make a date with us again next week, same time.
Thank you so much, Davi. We also want to thank, we are part of Church of Pentecost, so we want to thank our national head, Apostle Amwagu, our original head, Apostle Donko, and of course, our wonderful pastor, Pastor Johnny Ansa, and the wife. Thank you so much. And we also want to say happy birthday to everybody that is born in April. Of course, our technical, Elder Safe's birthday is coming up next week. But we just want to say all the people that are born in April, happy birthday, happy birthday. We wish you guys the very best. And good luck until next week. Bye, everyone.
Bye.